Take it away.
Oh, great. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's 6 p.m. here. So Waja actually did ask if we had a glass of wine with us. So we don't. We didn't think that it would be fair on you. So anyway, just thank you very much, Waja, for obviously organizing this. I think that it's a great opportunity for us to get to know you guys and you know what you need, for you to know who the team are from a Miavana perspective. I must just correct Waja there. I'm not the GM for Miavana. We've got the most incredible GM who is based on Ireland at Miavana. I'm the sales manager for, but Waja knows this, for Miavana. And you will be chatting to us and to me, to Bron and I, quite a lot going forward, hopefully. So just to kick off with Miavana, that just gives you a glimpse into what this amazing island is all about. And Waja, you mentioned Island Sanctuary, and that is exactly what it is. The development started in 2013, and just to give you a little bit of background as to who owns it, it's a privately owned concern, part of Time and Tide. The main shareholder is Terry Dallet. He fell in love with the people, the place, the interest in long-term sustainability with marine and wildlife, not only just looking at it from a business concept. So there really is more to this picture than you know what you see. Just going on to the access into Madagascar itself. So there are 2 points. In fact, there are 3, but I'll chat to you first about the 2 that are the most that we use, Nosy Bay and Diego Suarez. Once your clients land either at Nosy Bay or Diego Suarez, from Diego Suarez, it's a 30-minute helicopter transfer to the island. So very quick and easy. And from Nosy Bay, it's 1 hour. So the helis, we've got 2 of our own helis. They're our own pilots. They're employed by the Time and Tide group. So it's not subcontracted out to anybody at all. The 3rd point of entry is Tanna, as we call it, Antananarivo. I generally don't recommend that your guests fly into Tanna because they would more than likely need to overnight. The flights come in quite late, and it just means an extra night in Madagascar itself. Unless they obviously are going to do something on the mainland, I would recommend that they actually fly into Diego or into Nosy Bay. So the $1 million question, there's the big word there, access, and I can almost hear your brains ticking over time in terms of what and how can we actually get to Madagascar at the moment. The world is a crazy place, as you all know at the moment. I think we're all navigating our way through it. And we are so fortunate that we actually have private jet access. We've got special dispensation for private jet access into Madagascar, either to Nosy Bay or Diego Suarez. Currently, and it has been for quite some time now, commercial flights are not permitted to land in Madagascar. Every 15 days, there is an update from the president. We've just recently had the last one, and we have been told that borders, not through the president, the last announcement was that it is still closed, but we have been told that borders are going to be open at the beginning of September. Whether that happens or not, this is Africa, is always another $1 million question. So we've tried to be proactive in being able to give you a solution to that so that you can go out and sell Madagascar and Miavana. We are looking at the concept of private jets and getting your clients into Madagascar by private jet. The cost of that is only $2,500 return round trip from Johannesburg to Diego Suarez and back. So it's a phenomenal offer. It really is something that we are working on and hoping to make that a reality so that it just makes life so much easier for you if you are having to sell Miavana and it is a commercial flight that your guests need to travel to Madagascar on. So we'll keep you posted on that. And in the meantime, I'd like to take you out of wherever you are and bring you to Madagascar. So do enjoy the 60-second video. Oh, where did it go? My apologies. Oh, I can't show you the video. The video has actually disappeared. My apologies. Ron, would you like
Sure,
to?
I'm happy to jump in and just to add on what you were saying, Mish, and don't hate me for saying this, but I have had the opportunity to fly across to Miavana in a private jet, and you know, just the experience of doing private jets, getting out of the, you know, this, you know, some people once in a lifetime opportunity, and then getting into a helicopter, and that's before you've even, you know, before you even got to the island. You feel like a rock star before your holidays even started. So, you know, for any guests that have the opportunity to travel via private jet, it is something quite spectacular. But I'm going to take you through the villas just to start off with. The villas are just so beautifully created with so much thought and space put into them. And this is really done to make guests feel exclusive and private, but also completely at home. So we have 14 villas that are 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. And every villa was actually built to have a child's room and or study with its own bathroom, which means you can comfortably have 2 adults and 2 children, in a 1 bedroom. And if you have a look at the picture at the top left, that is our complete sort of 3-bedroom villa. And the main area, just to give you some context or some framework, would be a 1-bedroom. The middle section would be the 1-bedroom. And that's where you've got your private plunge pool, your kitchenette, your lounge area. And then if you were having a 2-bedroom, that would just be a separate add-on, as well as obviously the 3rd bedroom if you were in a 3-bedroom. And what's quite nice is the design is we would never want guests who were sleeping in the 2nd bedroom or 3rd bedroom to feel outdone by. So the 2nd and 3rd bedrooms are also, you know, beautifully designed. They've got their own sort of courtyard leading off the bathroom. So it really does give you a sense of privacy, even if you're traveling with, you know, other family members or friends. Every villa also comes with its own butler and someone to take care of your every whim. So, you know, if you're doing in-house dining or just spending the day relaxing by the pool, or you know, they can obviously organize spa treatments for you. And then to get around from your villa to the main area or the piazza, we've got these really cool, brightly colored bicycles or your own golf cart that you can drive around the island. Just so you also know, a real kind of interesting fact about Madagascar is there's a lot of witchcraft. It's actually got its own name in Madagascar, which is called Fuddy. And because of that, we don't actually have a Villa 13 or the number 13. So we've got Villa 1 to 12 and then Villa 14 to 15. So these sort of images here is showing our piazza area or parts of our piazza. And they were also created to have very sort of intimate spaces. And that was done, one, for privacy. So, you know, if there are different groups on the island, you can still kind of feel like you're the only ones there. And then secondly, just for variety, you know, a lot of guests coming to Madagascar or to Miavana specifically are spending, you know, 7 to 10 nights here. And we want to give them the experience of, you know, informal dining, you know, our rooftop bar, our beach bar where they can sit with their, you know, toes in the sand and enjoy, you know, pizza or something a little bit more informal. So, you know, we've really taken the time to, you know, draw people into the main area if they don't just want to spend time in their villas. And then lastly, just this really interesting image that we've got up here is our Cabinet de Curiosity. And it's our own natural history museum that we have on the island. And it's one of my favorite places because you actually really get to learn a little bit about the history and the culture of Madagascar. And we've been very fortunate to have some of the world's, you know, really rare artifacts in here. So Simon in this picture is holding an elephant bird egg, To my knowledge, there's only 25 left in the world, and we've obviously got one on the island. We've also got a hippo skeleton and an elephant bird skeleton as well, which is of a chick. And there's actually only 3 complete skeletons left in the world. So, you know, we use this space to do wine tasting. We can do meals in here as well. And what I really loved is after breakfast one morning, we came into the cabinet, learned a little bit about Madagascar, and then had a little bit of a talk on the lemurs that we have on the island, and then went off lemur trekking. So, you know, I think Miavana lends itself to, you know, so many different types of guests. You know, if they're wanting to learn and experience Madagascar, they can do that just from the island. Otherwise, they can obviously use it as a destination where they're coming in and just, you know, completely trying to escape from the world and relax. So that's just a little bit about the villas and the Piazza and main areas. I'll hand over to Mish to take you through some of the activities on offer.
Thanks, Bron. So Miavana, in terms of diversity of activities, is really, really hard to beat. I've been to a lot of islands in my time, and there really isn't anything that offers as much as Miavana does. And that's from an on-island experience and an off-island experience perspective. So we open all year round. The one great thing, just in terms of rates, because that does often come up, is our rates are static. So they remain the same throughout the year, unlike other resorts where they hike those rates up over the festive season. Ours do remain static. So it's a real advantage to your guests, and it's really, really well received. So what can you do on or at Miavana? So we do lemur treks. We've got whales, obviously is dependent on the actual season itself, which is normally from July to October. And in fact, it's actually moving, I think because of global warming, it's moving more towards the end of August. So that really just gives you a bit of an idea as to, you know, when the whales are there. Some guests specifically only want to go there for that, so it is important to know this information. What we do is something really different, and we like to wow our guests, is we take doors off helicopters and we fly fairly low to the ocean itself, and we go looking for whales. So it's really an amazing thing to do. People love it. They're not expecting it, so it really is that element of surprise. You can see, obviously, from a fishing perspective, it's an absolute paradise. Your months for fishing generally are from October through to April, and we work on a catch and release system. So from a scuba diving perspective and other water sports, your scuba diving is all included in your rate. You can scuba dive 10 times a day if you want to, and there's no cost to you at all. Snorkeling is phenomenal. We've got kayaking. Some people call it, I call it paddling, some people call it kayaking, but it's much of a muchness, same thing. We've got wakeboarding, we've got water skiing, we've got something fairly new which we've introduced is kiteboarding. So kiteboarding is generally at a particular time of the year. Your season for kiteboarding is normally from October through to May. So, you know, those are your windier months. It's not per se absolutely howling right in front of Miavana during those months. We actually take our guests to areas close by to Miavana where the kiteboarding is actually known to be some of the best in the world. So from an off-island experience, and what one can actually see is lemurs as well. But just looking at this is something that I did, which I wanted to share with you when I was last at Miavana. We took a walk through to Turtle Bay, and literally this is 10 minutes behind your villas. On the right-hand side is one of the golden-crowned lemurs. They're very shy, but very inquisitive at the same time. This particular lemur wanted to jump onto my shoulder. It was adamant that it actually wanted to jump onto my shoulder. It never did. But it was incredibly curious. They're incredible animals. Miavana, or Time and Tide, has actually been involved in the translocation of lemurs, which has, you know, just to give you an idea, it costs $10,000 per lemur to translocate them. So it's a very worthy project that we've got involved in. One of the main reasons why we've done it is they are obviously a protected species. And from a mainland perspective, they were selling them for $1 US, and that was for the meat of the lemurs. So really sad, and we've obviously tried to protect them by bringing them quite a few across to the island. So what else can you do on the island? There's many things, as I mentioned earlier, but you can see the bottom left-hand corner. I was actually explaining to Waja earlier that I think it was the closest I've come to death, because I didn't know how to actually drive a quad bike, and I nearly ended up going off the edge of one of the sand dunes. So there's so much you can do on the island. I actually took a ride around the island on the quad bike and went through to various parts of the island that you wouldn't necessarily walk to. So that is amazing to do. Scuba diving, as I mentioned, on the left-hand side, this is just one of the, we get together before the dive and we go through the different dive sites as to, where we are going to be diving on that particular day. You can dive fairly close to Miavana itself, or you can go offshore, probably about, I'd say a 20-minute boat trip away, and the coral is phenomenal. It's protected. It's part of, obviously, the marine conservation program that we're part of. I saw dolphins, quite a few, probably about 5 dolphins swimming around me. They were incredible animals. They really are. And when they come right up to you, it's just the most incredible experience. For those of you who do scuba dive, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you who don't.
And Mish, can I maybe just tell the little story of our guest that we had a couple of months ago, where they found a dive site that had never been explored before. Maybe just to sort of show how remote we are and the kind of experience we can give guests. And I won't mention the surname, but we've actually named that reef after them. So also quite exciting in terms of what we can offer. And I mean, who can say that they've dived a site that's never been explored before
and named after them. So
yeah.
Thanks, Bon. That's a great story.
Yeah.
So from Helicopter Adventures, and this is where I talk about the diversity of activities at Miavana, we have what we call Helicopter Adventures. We take your guests off island to the mainland and around the mainland. The rare black lemur is specifically what a lot of guests want to see. So they're only found in one section of the forest, which is in the northeast of Madagascar. And they're also a bit shy, but our team know exactly where to find them. In the middle, that's a photograph of Singi, which is actually limestone caves. So something really interesting to see. You don't see it anywhere else in the world. The terrain in Madagascar is unbelievable. It really, really is unbelievable. So really interesting to see that. And on the right-hand side, you'll actually see a heli, which is on the top of a mountain. And that was also one of our surprise, something that we were doing for our guests where they didn't expect it. And on the way back from seeing the black lemur, we actually stopped. We had sundowners on top of the mountain, obviously looking at these magnificent views that Madagascar offers. And we continued from there. So please remember the diversity of what Miavana offers. It's very, very hard to beat. From a wellness perspective, this is becoming really important. I think, the buzzword, especially with COVID, is people's mental well-being. And, not only from a body perspective in terms of that, but just really having time out. You're in a remote place, it's isolated. It really is an island sanctuary. And we talk about our spa and the island being our spa. So although you can have in-villa treatments, we actually offer treatments anywhere on the island, which is brilliant, even on our heli pad. So it's really unusual what we do and what we can offer. We do have a gym, in the facilities there as well. And there's all sorts of treatments that are available, yoga in the mornings and in the evenings. So please bear that in mind. From a family offering, as you can see, this little girl, she's thoroughly enjoying her pedicure. And she's enjoying her yoga up at the top. We've got a lot of family programs which involves things that are really, really different. So we don't follow, you know, what most resorts do, where they have a kiddies club and the kiddies go off in the morning at 10 a.m. and they come back at 6 p.m. and they've been drinking Coca-Cola and eating sweets, and the parents get this completely hyper child back. So our general manager, who I mentioned earlier, Austin, he's incredible. He's put together Survivor Island courses for the kids. Our team take them fishing. They actually take them snorkeling too. There's a bubble divers course, which is obviously not a full scuba diving course, but where kids can actually learn how to scuba dive. They only go down to 2 meters. So it's all supervised. And it's just the most amazing place to have children because it is remote. And yes, we do have Wi-Fi, but we don't have Wi-Fi in all areas. So kids who think that they're going to spend time on their phone are quite disappointed for all of 10 minutes when they discover the lemurs 10 minutes behind them when they take a walk into the forest. So from a children's offering and a family offering, please bear Miavana in mind as well. That's just, I needed to illustrate to you as well what the sky looks like. It feels like you're at the ends of the earth. You're in the middle of nowhere. And it is just incredible to just be. And while you're sitting there, the stars around you are honestly, in fact, they're brighter than that. That hasn't been photoshopped. The darker the sky gets, the brighter the stars get. And it is just an incredible experience to be part of that and to be immersed in that. So these were a couple of photos which I've added, which was from my recent trip. The sunsets in the top right-hand corner, I couldn't get enough of them. They're incredible. They really, really are incredible. And on the left as well, that was a photo which I'd taken from my villa. I've got so many sunset and sunrise photos. So, you know, if anybody is really looking for that romantic aspect of an island, for honeymooners, for couples, hands down, Miavana is the place. It really is. So from time and tide perspective, from the foundation, we are part of you know, we look at sustainability, we look at obviously conservation, but we also look at what can we do for the areas that we're in, they're remote areas. So we focus on the local community. Of the local community, we employ at Miavana 88% of Malagasys, of which 70% of them actually come directly from the island itself, which is Nosy and Cow, and the rest come from the mainland. From, you know, the key areas that we focus on with the foundation is education and support. We support children that have special needs, women empowerment, obviously medical and health as well, which is important. And also our local community, in terms of the fishermen, we actually procure directly from the fishermen. So that gives them, you know, a form of income. And our guests obviously also enjoy it too, because it's fresh. The terrestrial and marine wildlife conservation is a very, very big part of Miavana itself. We have our own team, our own conservation team on the island. We've invested over $100,000 in the monitoring of, and you know, the nesting sea turtles, seabirds, and just the health of the coral reefs in that particular area. So I've told you about the lemurs, and that also forms part of the Time and Tide Foundation and our conservation efforts and our sustainability efforts. The one thing I must tell you about the turtles, which I didn't mention earlier, is when it is nesting season, if we have, you know, little hatchlings, our team do get permission first, but if it is at 2 o'clock in the morning, they come and wake you up and they take you down to the beach to actually go and see these little hatchlings and watch them make their way down to the ocean. There's a fair percentage of them that don't make it, which is normal, it's not abnormal. But it is the most incredible thing to see. I've been fortunate to see it a couple of times in my life, and it's something that you never forget when you see it. It's just the most amazing, you know, natural experience. So just handing over to Bron. Bron's going to cover the promotions and some of the rates. Thanks, Bron.
Cool. So in terms of our offerings, I'd probably say the most popular one and what I would really recommend is our Stay Pay Special, which is if you stay 7 nights, pay for 6, and then you get free helicopter transfers from either Diego Suarez or Nosy Bay. We also have, I mean, obviously our island is incredibly popular with honeymooners. So 50% off one of the partners if they are celebrating a honeymoon. The island's obviously really, really set out for multi-generation families, and that's something that we host a lot of family groups. And obviously, to make it even more attractive, is kids stay free. So children under the age of 18 stay free of charge. And then the most popular, and one that Waja and I were, anyone who was listening yesterday to our Zambian presentation, were, and on our trip was talking about when can we do our next jet set. And that is where we actually combine our 2 destinations. So obviously Zambia with Madagascar. And we really recommend on this promotion that we look at a property like Chinzombo, which pairs really, really well. You can see the design of the villas are very similar with that of Chinzombo, and it's the same architects. Also very similar to King Lewanika, which is also a great pairing. So on that offering, it's 1 night free in each destination. So that would be a 10-night package. So 1 night free in Zambia, 1 night free in Madagascar, as well as free heli transfers, again, regardless of if you're coming in from Diego Suarez or Nosy Bay. So yeah, so there's lots of different offerings that we can give to potential guests.
Thanks, Bron. And I'd like to touch on exclusive island hire, which has become the buzzword private jets, the buzzword exclusive island hire. So Miavana offers that. It is, you know, relatively, it's a 10 square kilometer in terms of radius, the actual size of the island. So it definitely lends itself towards that. It's luxurious. It's got a phenomenal team there, phenomenal general manager. So I can't say who it was, but we actually had a celebrity who took over the entire island over December, January, which was fantastic. So it's not only for celebrities, we have families, we have different nationalities who we cater to, which I think is also quite important. So if we have a group which comes in from Saudi Arabia, we need to really take into consideration what their needs are, because they would be very different to, let's say, a group of Germans coming in. So we are extremely flexible in what we can do on the island. We've had singers come onto the island. They've stayed on the island and performed for, you know, the guests who have stayed there and do have the island on an exclusive hire basis. The actual island itself at full capacity, it does say 44, we can go up to 48, but that does depend, and Bron spoke just now about the, you know, the villas and how many of the 14 villas, we've got 8 1-bedrooms, 4 2-bedrooms and 2 3-bedrooms. It does depend on if it is couple sharing, if it is families. So if you are getting these inquiries for exclusive island hire, please come through to us. Try give us as much information as possible, particularly with that in terms of, you know, what configuration we could look at. So the rate is $114,000 per night. And then on top of that is the $300 per person per night for the conservation levy, which obviously does go to an incredible cause, as I mentioned earlier. And this is full board. It includes all island activities. It does exclude any off-island heli excursions and spa treatments and the return helicopter transfers. So please bear us in mind for exclusive island hires. We certainly are in that space from a rebranding point of view. For those of you who do know Time and Tide, we actually have moved Miavana out of the space or out of the safari space. It sits independently. It will have its own website, and it is in that Indian Ocean Island arena where we are competing, and we certainly are up there with the best. So please bear us in mind for that. So Waja, it comes to the end of Bron and my presentation, and just in terms of what we can share with you, and I'm sure that there are questions. So hopefully we'll be able to answer those. So Waja, I'm going to hand over to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Mish, and thank you so much, Bron. That was absolutely fantastic. And I think I speak on behalf of everyone on this call when I say we can't wait to get to Miavana and experience it firsthand. I'm hoping some of you on this call will give me a ring to tell me that you'll be wanting to join me on the next FAB when we head out there in a few months, because it will truly be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. For some questions I had for you, one of them, which we had from Anna, was asking about the $2,500 cost for the private jet per person. Is that cost per person or per flight? And how many people can we fit on that plane?
Very good question. Thank you for asking that. So it's a Learjet, which takes 4 passengers plus pilot. The $2,500 is per person, so basically per seat. So it's $1,250 one way, and return is $2,500, which would be Joburg, Diego, back to Joburg.
And also regarding the helicopter transfers, what's the weight limit that we require for our clients there?
Okay, so weight limit is 15 kilograms. And one other very important point to note is it needs to be a soft bag. So no hard case suitcases. We've had situations where we've had guests arriving, they've got hard shell suitcases, and the helis have had to do additional rotations to go back to go and fetch the luggage because it hasn't actually been able to fit into the heli. So, and then that becomes an additional cost to the client, which, you know, comes as a bit of a surprise. So we like to obviously give this information up front, just so that everybody is prepared and knows exactly what to expect once they get to Diego or Nosy Bay.
Great, thank you for that, Mish. And you know, also one of the most important questions we have to ask and have to get information on is, of course, your PCR, your COVID-19 PCR testing and protocols on property. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so I'll actually go one step back. In terms of arriving into Madagascar itself, you do need a 72-hour negative PCR test, which I think is pretty standard all over the world. When you arrive, you do go through a screening, you do a PCR test. It's a proper PCR test. It does not mean that you need to quarantine. So we talk about quarantining on the island. You are not restricted to your room at all. You have the island to yourself. And obviously the results come through to us 2 days later, or not even 2 days later. And that is really how the testing works from arrival. And the reason for that is the Madagascan government doesn't look at Miavana as a COVID threat to anybody. So we're completely separate from the mainland, and that really is such an advantage to your guests. On the island, depending on obviously where guests' onward journey is after their stay at Miavana, some countries may not actually want and stipulate that you need to have a PCR test entering the country. Most do at this point in time, and I think as we go along and as more people get vaccinated, I do think that that is actually going to lessen, and we're going to be referring more to vaccination passports, digital passports, than anything else. But what we do have in place is we have a medical team on the island. So the COVID tests can be done on island, and we then fly those swabs to the mainland, actually to Tanna, which is regardless as to how many people or how many guests it is for. If it's a family of 10, it's exactly the same. It's $2,500 to get to the island and back for the swab. And those results come back pretty quickly. And obviously we need to make sure that they do get back in time for the client's departure. I had an inquiry yesterday of somebody who said that they didn't want to spend the cost, they didn't want to spend it on a helicopter. They would prefer to actually spend it overnight at Nosy Bay and experience a bit of Nosy Bay. So that is completely possible as well if guests do want to do that once obviously Nosy Bear opens for commercial flights. And, you know, then they would just do the test on the, you know, on the mainland and wait for their results, and off they go from Nosy